This is a follow-up to my most recent podcast on University of Miami quarterback Cam Ward and head coach Mario Cristobal. Thank you to all of you that left comments on the show. Greatly appreciate it. And I just wanted to touch base today with a little follow-up to clarify a couple of things I said and to just maybe go a little bit deeper into a couple of points that were made on that podcast. So this is QB Unfiltered, the follow-up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
Okay, first and foremost, I have done now 3 podcasts on the University of Miami's football program and their quarterbacks, 2 on Cam Ward and 1 on the great Bernie Kosar. And it's really been a kick in the ass for me because I'm a Hurricane fan going way back. Howard Schnellenberger, Kosar, Michael Irvin, all those dudes that really were fun to watch. And I've been a Hurricane fan since the 80s, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Now, to make this even better this year is quarterback Cam Ward has played at one of my favorite programs, that's Washington State Cougars, and now he's playing for one of my other favorite programs, and that's the University of Miami. So that's really, really cool. And as you guys know, I think that Cam Ward is the best quarterback that's a returner going into this 2024 season. So I'm happy to do these shows on the Canes and the U. And today's is a follow-up on the last show that I did talking about Mario Cristobal and Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, hopefully using Cam Ward's talents to take them to the elite level this season. Okay, now I've got to correct a statement that I made about Mario Cristobal and his first head coaching job. I botched it up. I said he coached at Florida Atlantic, and it was Florida International. So that was brought to my attention by a couple of you in the comments. Every now and again, I know what I want to say, but my mouth says something differently. And so I apologize for that. But Mario Cristobal's first college head job was at Florida International. Secondly, I made a statement when we were talking about how it's really, really difficult for offenses to be great at both the run and the pass. And for some reason, I said you can find a lot of programs that do that. And I used Ole Miss as an example. That's not the way that it should have come out of my mouth. The truth is, it is very rare to find a college football offense that is great, talking great, not good, great at both throwing the ball and running the ball. Ole Miss is one of the programs that gets close to it, but those schools are few and far between. And in terms of offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson this past season being a 50-50 guy, and we talked about the fact that Miami, it was amazing. They were 4 plays short or 4 plays off from being exactly split right down the middle, 50-50 run pass. And a couple of you have said, well, you know, they were pretty close to that his last year at the University of Houston. And that may be true. And the point that I'm trying to make with Shannon Dawson is the weapon that he has at quarterback in Cam Ward. If they go 50-50 run pass, I think they're doing a disservice to their offense. Now, the thing with the 50-50, and, you know, I'm going to do a show where we talk not quarterbacks, but we talk about offensive philosophy and all the things that go into making a great offense. But one of the things I really want you guys to come away with today is it does not matter what scheme you use offensively, okay? Whether you hang your hat on throwing it, whether you hang your hat on running it, or whether you're trying to be a mix of, close to 50-50. Now, I'm going to speak a little bit here in a minute about the fact why it is so hard to be a great offense when you're trying to be 50-50. But at the end of the day, with any offensive system, it doesn't matter what it is. At the end of the day, the key is practice reps. How many times can you rep your plays in practice throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the season, so that on Saturday, game day, you're able to execute at a level up there? It's all about practice reps, okay? And that's why the teams that have a skinnier playbook and focus on a few specific ways to move the football, and they're able to rep that during the week, those teams, those offenses are usually really, really hard to stop because the execution level is so high. And execution wins games on offense, and execution is only achieved through practice reps. So this should make sense to everybody. The more that you repeatedly do something, the better you get at doing that. So, this is, again, another show. And that's why I laugh my ass off when I see some of these offensive coordinators in the NFL on game day that have these call sheets that are about a yard long and a foot wide with 300 plays on them. And they're hanging off of a cord around their neck. And here's the problem that a lot of offenses that have these big, huge call sheets and playbooks, this is the problem they have. They either run plays in games that they haven't practiced, or they practice plays during the week that they don't run in the game. Either way, that's a recipe for mediocrity. All right. The great offenses run a few plays over and over and over and over. Now, they may change the formation to give the defense a little bit of a different look, but the premise of the play, the blocking schemes, the quarterback reads, everything is the same, and it's over and over and over. It's repetition. So when we talk about 50-50 offense, a balanced offense, and my last show, I said that with the air raid, it can't be 50-50. It's got to be like 70-30, 70 pass, 30 run. You got to hang your hat on the passing part of your offense. That's the star. And the running game is the supporting cast that obviously is good enough to get the job done and be effective. And we talked about when you spread people out and you're going against a 5-man box and you've got these big offensive line splits, which also widen out D linemen, you're creating all kinds of natural gaps where you can just gash people running the football. Okay, but that's another show on itself right there also. But let's talk in terms of what Mike Leach, the great Mike Leach, the Pirate, what he considered a balanced offense. It wasn't 50-50. It was equal touches for all 5 skill players. So somewhere in between the years of 2001 and 2004, when Dana Holgorsen was the inside receiver coach for Texas Tech, he did a breakdown study of just this, taking equal touches for all 5 skill guys, how many yards they had, how many touchdowns they had. And it's really, really fascinating. Let's take a look at this right now. So as you can see here, he broke this down by the 5 positions. So looking at this chart, X and Z, those are 2 outside receivers. Y and H are the 2 slot receivers, and F is the running back, the single back. So he broke this down in terms of touches a game. This is how many times each position had the ball in their hands throughout the course of a game through the course of the season. Obviously, the guy that's going to get the most touches is the running back, F, okay? Because he's getting the ball on handoffs and he's catching footballs. So his 21.5 touches a game, that's not 21 handoffs. That's probably, 12 to 15 handoffs, and then the rest are catches. And we talked about how you can run the ball so effectively with 4 wideouts and spreading that defense out and getting a 5-man box. So it's not uncommon to see the running backs in an air raid offense run for over 100 yards on 11 or 12 carries. Okay, because they're hitting big gash plays. And primarily what we're talking about with the running game and the air raid is inside zone and draw. And with that draw, it's usually a form of a draw trap. Anyway, however they do it, whether they trap it with the blocking scheme up front, or they do a little fold action, which is basically the same thing. It's showing pass, and if you're hanging your hat on throwing the ball and you throw it a ton, anytime that your offensive line, quarterback, and running backs give pass action, you're going to get those D linemen coming upfield fast, and that's when they're susceptible for that draw. And when you hit those guys with a draw, that running back's usually got a freeway to run in. Okay, so look at this breakdown, how interesting this is. So the running back, 21.5 touches. And then with the 2 outside receivers, you've got X with 8.5 and Z with 7.6, which are basically the same. And then with the slot guys, H has got 10.5 and Y's got just about 7.5. And the reason why is evidently when they did this study, probably their H receiver was more of a go-to guy than Y was. So you can talk about spreading the ball out evenly throughout the course of the game. But when it comes nut cutting time and you need a big catch, a big first down, whatever, you're going to the guy that you know is going to run the best option route. He's going to run the best choice route. He's going to run the best shallow cross, whatever, the best stick route. Okay. And so that's why those numbers are a little skewed. But overall, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal looking at those touches. Everybody's pretty much the same. Now let's go to yards per game and look at this production. The running back again, F, has got the most yards at 148 on average. And again, that's run and catch. Okay. Rushing attempts and catching the ball. And then you've got X and Z, who are next in line, the 2 outside receivers. And this could change on a yearly basis. There were some years where Texas Tech is throwing the ball more to their slot receivers than they are their outside guys. But the year that Holgerson did this study, obviously they were throwing a few more balls to the outside. But look at this. You've got 3 receivers with over 100 yards a game. And then the 4th guy is right there knocking on the door. That's balance. And then we go to total touchdowns. Look at this. Of course, your running back's going to have the most. Again, he's got the most touches. He's got the most ways to score. He's got 21 touchdowns totally. And then you go 14, 12, 11, and 10. That's production. Why is this so important, and why was this so important to Leach? because when you can spread the ball to all five skill guys, defensively you can't bracket like the best receiver. You can't double or put all your attention on one side of the field, tilt the field defensively. You have to defend the entire field from sideline to sideline and from goal line to goal line. And so when you're talking about balance now, you're talking about Texas Tech averaging 571 yards a game this year. And 3/4 of that was in passing and the rest was in rushing. And they averaged a shit ton of points, you know. And when you're looking at the touches per game and the yards per game, I mean, it's pretty balanced out. But it wasn't 50-50 run pass. And that was Leach's philosophy. That was Hal Mummy's philosophy. Anybody that's running true air raid, that's their philosophy as far as a balanced offense. Not run pass. It's equal touches for all your skill guys. Now, there were also a couple comments that talked about Miami with Cristobal and Dawson isn't running the air raid. They're running the power raid. And that may be true, but I've got an issue with that, and I'll tell you what that is. What any hybrid to a system does is at the end of the day, it makes it less pure and less effective than what it was or what it should be. The head coach, it's his prerogative. He can do what he wants. The offensive coordinator can run, hopefully, the offense the way he wants. That's their deal. And if it's effective for them and they win football games, then great. But when you have a system that is proven to be run pure, and you've got a quarterback who's been running that system now his entire college career and lighting people up, and now you're going to come in and add stuff to it and change the dynamic for the power raid, you make the offensive system less than what it was. Now, let's understand this. In the air raid, if you're putting your money on the passing game, and that's your, that's what you put not all, but that's what you put a lot of your practice time and reps into, and you've got that supporting cast, it's effective, but it's a supporting cast running game. If you say that we're going to be more 50-50 and we're going to put more emphasis on the run game, it doesn't work like this. It doesn't work where the passing game stays here and you push the running game up to match and you're operating on this level. It works like this. As soon as you start to put the running game, more emphasis on that, more plays, more practice time, as that goes up, the passing game goes down to where now they meet in the middle 50-50 and you're a lesser offense. Hopefully that makes sense, but that is what happens because, as I said at the beginning of the show, it all comes down to practice reps. It's what you can practice during the week and during the season that's going to show on game day, okay? And it is impossible to be good at running a whole bunch of run plays and then throwing the ball effectively also. It's just very, very difficult to do. If you're good with scoring 30 points a game, trying to be 50-50, as opposed to scoring 45 to 48 points a game, being 70-30, 65-35, if you're good with the 30 points a game, then good. I mean, hell, the University of Iowa last year won 10 games with the worst offense maybe in the history of Division I. They were horrible on offense. but they won 10 games. I'm just saying, you got a hell of a quarterback down there spinning it for you. Take advantage of what he does well and what he has been doing well his entire college career. Okay, now we talk about different systems and stuff, and I sort of talked about this a little bit the last show, but I talked about Barry Switzer and the University of Oklahoma and how in the world, can you take an offense, run the wishbone, one formation, and basically one play, the triple option, and run the triple option every play the entire game and throw the ball one or two times and run for 500 or 600 yards and score 50 to 65 points a game. How do you do that? Well, this is how. They ran just a couple of plays. And so in practice, it was rep, 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 rep. Okay. And what made the wishbone lethal, much like the air raid, is they weren't mashing the ball between the tackles. Okay. They were using the entire field, and they were using four skill guys, all their skill guys. But when they were running the wishbone, they had four guys that could carry the ball, their quarterback and any one of the three backs in the backfield. And what made the wishbone so effective is they were attacking in the box with the dive back. They were attacking just outside the box with the quarterback, and they were attacking on the perimeter with the pitch back. Okay, they were attacking the entire field, and most importantly, like the air raid or any good passing offense, they were putting defensive guys, one or two defensive guys, in conflict, and that's who the quarterback was reading. So the initial dive, the quarterback's reading whoever's got the dive back. If that guy sinks down on tackle the dive back, the quarterback pulls the ball and goes on to his next read. If that guy's going to play the QB and be undisciplined, the quarterback hands it to the dive back and he runs for, 15, 20 yards. Okay. Now we go, the quarterback has pulled the ball because they've taken the dive back away. That's one guy they put in conflict. Now we go to the next guy, and that is the guy that's got the QB. If he's going to play the QB spits the ball on the pitch to the pitch back. If that guy's going to widen to the pitch back, the quarterback pulls the ball down, sticks his toe on the ground, and runs downfield for 15 to 20 yards. And we know that Oklahoma practiced the hell out of this play on a daily basis because they ran it with such confidence. I mean, if you watch those guys, go back and pull up the 70s and 80s Oklahoma Sooners wishbone, and you're going to see quarterbacks that are on the perimeter and they have to pitch the ball who aren't even looking at the pitch guy. They're looking at a defensive guy and pitching the ball blind, pulling a Magic Johnson and pitching that sucker 10 yards in the air and hitting the pitch guy right in stride. Now, you don't get that sort of execution by going out there and practicing that play, a handful of times in practice all day. It's over and over and over and over. So again, we go to reps. Reps equal execution. And so with Oklahoma and the air raid, the wishbone was pitching the ball backwards, using all your skill players and using the entire field. The air raid is throwing the ball forward, using all your skill players and using the entire field. In both situations, you got conflict defenders that the quarterback's reading, and it's if-then situation. If-then. If that defender does this, then I do this. If that defender does this, then I do this. Simple. Repped. All week in practice. They get there in the games, and the games are easy. It's easy. So in other words, Barry Switzer's Oklahoma Sooners did not dilute their offensive system. They didn't have this wishbone that was just killing people and add a whole bunch of passing plays to it. And they weren't shy about it. They went into games going, yeah, we're going to throw it 1 or 2 times and we're going to score 65 points. And we're running the Wishbone and we're still going to run for 500 or 600 yards. Okay, so at the end of the day, I'm going to be cheering for Cam Ward and the U this year, no matter what they do offensively. They're going to win a bunch of games this year. I just think that if they turn him loose and they put more on his plate, put the ball in his hands more, and let him execute the air raid passing game and mix in the running game, and use all of their athletes and get the ball to them in space and let them hurt defenses, then I think Miami's going to be in for a really special year. And hopefully, that's what we're going to see play out. Okay, so if you like today's show, please hit that like button. That really helps me out. Continue to subscribe, pass the word to your buddies, and then drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about the Canes, their offense, Cam Ward, whatever. I appreciate the comments. Okay, this has been QB Unfiltered, and remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.